All right, welcome everybody to this month's masterclass, now our Wisdom to Wealth series, and it's called Becoming the Next Version of You, Identity, Self-Image, and Soul-Led Evolution. If you're new to the community, we have an anchor word every month, and we just started this in 2026. So this is February 2026, and our theme word is identity. So that's why this is it. So the inner focus is self-image and subconscious patterns. And the outer one is brand identity and founder evolution. And I think now more than ever in this new evolution, this new year, this new fire horse energy, and so much is happening in the cosmos with this energy. Identity is how we're going to pull ourselves forward. And I think most people now are looking for truth and authenticity. They have been burned along the way. And they're looking for things that just feel good. So in my teachings, and part of the soul professional movement is always not only being in alignment, but also feeling good in your body, right? So it's one thing to know the direction that you're going, but if you're not feeling it in your body and not in that space where your nervous system understands it and is ready to accept it, you'll never get where you're going, right? So it's both of those pieces that we need to dovetail to bring ourselves together. So identity is a big piece of where we're going. So the first thing I do, I just want to frame the conversation, because most people believe that if they just had a better strategy, just more motivation, just a clearer plan, more confidence. Sometimes I see, well, if I just had more visibility, if I just hired a marketing person, but that is rarely the problem. It's rarely the problem. It's usually an identity issue, and most of the my clients come to me because they have an earning ceiling, or they don't believe people will buy what they're selling, or whatever they do, say it's a healing modality or they're a coach or whatever it is, that it comes to them so naturally, they feel funny kind of asking for money for it, right? People don't want to pay for this. It comes so naturally to me, or I've always done this. So that's the identity problem that we usually see. Has anyone ever experienced this? Anyone? Yeah, a couple of you. Yeah, most of the time it's identity. And that's where imposter syndrome comes from too, right? And I go through imposter syndrome just like everybody else. You know, when you're launching something new and you're like, why me? Or am I good enough? Or people think I'm good enough, but I'm really not good enough. Every single person goes through that, and that all is anchored in your identity. It's believing who you are and what you're bringing to the world. So some opening questions I want to start with is, and if anyone wants to talk, you can. If not, put it in the chat and I'll read it. Who are you becoming right now? And I want to talk about this question a little bit. You can answer it if you'd like. Because usually who we were or how we started our business is not who we are in this moment. And it's not who we want to be 3-5 years from now. Right? So I always say that we want to always act and make decisions from our future self, right? So a decision that you're making today, it's easier to say, would my future self make this same decision? Right? It's who are we becoming right now? Just have someone coming in the room. Because that's our identity, right? That's who we are, and who we want to be is making decisions in the present right now. Does that make sense? Because when we make decisions from who we want to be, who we're becoming, that's how we become that identity. And it's a big part of it. Because if you feel that you are so small, but your goal is to play big, You have to act from that person who's playing big. Does that make sense? You have to be in that ego right now. I know people don't like the word ego, but that's what we're talking about when we're talking about self-identity, right? It's our ego. So who are you becoming right now? If you want to put anything in the chat, you can. Actually, it would be helpful if I actually pulled up my chat so I could look at it. So if anyone wants to write in the chat, you can tell me, who are you becoming right now? I'm also interested if it's changed, because I do believe that 2025 was a big part of us redefining who we are right now, right? Making changes. I've made them as well. And just trying to figure out who am I becoming? And how does my business also follow it? So we're going to talk about founder identity and all of that. And if nothing externally changed in your life, who would you need to become for your life to expand? These are more contemplation questions. So if nothing externally changed, you still live where you live, you do what you do, you have what you have, who would you need to become for your life to expand? Because there's that great saying that if you do what you've always done, you will always get the same results. It's said a little better than that, right? But if you keep doing all of the same stuff, you are always going to get exactly the same results. And the hardest thing to do is change that pattern from where we are right now, because 9 out of 10 times you can't see your situation because you're in it, right? That's why I spend a lot of time, I don't know why I'm so blurry. I spend a lot of time in strategy and helping others. But when I need to talk to somebody, I have to find somebody that can kind of go back and forth with me to really question my thinking, because it's really hard when it's already me. Okay, I'm going to read some of the chats. I'm becoming a leader of leaders. Oh, I like that. I always say I'm amplifying the amplifiers. So I like that. I am becoming wise, financially abundant woman. Love that. I am becoming a pragmatic catalyst for powerful leaders. Beautiful. I need to become more bold in my language to attract the right who's in my business. I'm like the right person for like who's going to take advantage of it. Bold in your language, that's good, but you have to always make sure that you're always using the language that your clients are using when they talk about you. Does that make sense? And the best thing to do is ask someone else what you do, because they will tell you. And I always watch how people talk about me and my work, because they see it in a different light than I see it, because I'm creating it, I'm in it. Right? So if people get it right, or sometimes for me at least, they say it better, and I'm like, oh, that's way better than I say it, right? And then I can start to adopt that language because they say it better. Because that's what will resonate with who you're trying to attract. If you're saying the wrong words, or it's not really clear in your messaging, you will not attract the right people, because we attract who we are. And identity is also energy. So we should talk about that, right? The energy that we are putting out into the world, when it's really authentic and really in our truth, is exactly who we are attracting back. We attract who we are in the world, right? So for me, I know people are very attracted to my energy. So that's why I do things on video. That's why if you want to have a meeting with me, I say, let's jump on a Zoom, right? Because I energize by seeing you and interacting this way. And I know that my energy is what people are attracted to, right? So I have to put myself in a situation where they can see it. And that's why you can pretty much Google me and hear me and my voice and see my picture all the time, because that's how my energy resonates. It also resonates now in my writing. A lot of people write to me through my writing. You have to figure out what that is for you, so people can see your energy, because that's what they're attracted to. People really just want to have what you have. right? If you have a good business and you're a business coach, they want your business. If you have great skin and you're a skincare provider, they want your skin, right? You have to be already experiencing what you're selling, because that's what people, they want more of that. They want you, right? Because they usually are you 2 years ago, right? Everyone always wonders who their avatar is. It's you. It's you 2 years ago. And that's why you can always, always, always help everyone that is attracted to you, because they wouldn't be attracted to you if you couldn't help them. Does that make sense? Right? It's the only way. That's the law of attraction. That's the way it works. You can't help them otherwise. All right. The next question I have is, what version of you is trying to emerge? For many of us, it's, to be a thought leader, to be a voice of a certain community. So what version of you is trying to emerge? You can put that in the chat if you want. All right. Does anyone want to share? I know a couple of you have shared in the chat, and that is fine too. If anyone wants to go on and talk, you can do that too. I'm just really curious if you are trying, I shouldn't say trying, if you are becoming somebody new, you're expanding, you're evolving. These are all really great words at the beginning of a new year. You are emerging from something. Laura, you have something to share?
Sure, I
Sure.
can share because I'm
Awesome.
emerging.
Yay! I
My
love
phoenix
that.
back there. You see my phoenix?
I love it. I do see
So,
it.
the thing, as you know, I was more looking to support parents and families.
Yeah.
But what I've come to appreciate and the studies I've done over this last 2 years of which has helped me to grow and be who come more into the peace that people experience from me. I needed to learn how to teach that and teach it to leaders because
Okay.
leaders, parents are everywhere, right?
Yeah.
They're in all walks of life. So how can I bring this to the leaders in a community that actually will influence the community also in the way they so heart math is a lot of my training, so a lot of energy work, right? But in a way that's shows up, it can be measured, it can be evaluated, it can be grown, and
Mhm.
with the escalation of stress in the world, this is a way to bring it down and to get clear thinking, intuition, get all the things more in order for the person who's leading, because that also, and we're all leaders of one another. So me
Yeah.
stepping into my leadership in a more profound way for myself helps me to be that for others without feeling like an imposter.
I love that. I love that. And how does it feel for you to step into this new identity?
Oh, I love it. I
It
love
feels
it.
good.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I need to remind myself because, sometimes you wake up in the morning and the old self is like there. You say, "Oh, hello." Not today. And
I
I
love
have
that.
things I do to bring myself back, and I have the practices that I have learned to do daily, but I also through the journaling and just reorienting myself. And sometimes I need a little extra help by listening to or reading books that, remind me of who I am actually.
Beautiful. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, I think we all go through identity upgrades. Hopefully we're upgrading, right? And I think that's part of it. One of the things I want to talk about is the identity versus your goals, because those are two different things, right? Goals are external, what you want to achieve. Goals are external. Identity is the internal architecture that you have within you, right? If you say, I want to be a thought leader, or I want to, have a impact 1 million women, whatever it is for you, right? That's a goal you have, but who you have to be internally to achieve that is something separate. Does that make sense? right? Yeah. Laura, you want to add something?
Yeah, if because I just thought of this as you were saying this. So I come from a space where I was a mom and I had a lot of oppression. I come from abuse, growing up, and then I had a
Yeah.
lot of other oppressions going on in my life. And so the person that I actually am was not emerging
Mm,
in a full way.
yeah.
So the identity within me has to change and has or not even change, just blossom, if you will, And I think all of us have some of that, we grow up
Yes.
in different paradigms, whatever, and allowing ourselves to become what we actually are is a lot to do with it for me.
Yeah. It's a lot harder too. Yeah. So we can do things temporarily, and I think that's important, right? We can manifest a result temporarily. We can achieve something through willpower temporarily, right? We can push our way into a new income level. I see that happening a lot. But if your identity, who you are, does not match it, you will start to sabotage it. You'll start to outgrow it. You'll start to collapse it, right? You'll recreate your old baseline. And many times I see that, especially with women with earning ceilings. Like, this is what I used to make. And as soon as they start to make more, they reset again, right? It goes back to their old baseline. The next year is really bad for them. Or I had one client a while ago that they kept getting like high end clients. It would come in and then something would go bad. Like someone else would want a refund or a big bill would come in. Like as soon as it came in the door, it went right back out the door. It was just, and I was like, this has got to be something internal. Like life just doesn't happen like this on repeat over and over and over again. Things happen in life, but this was such a pattern that I started to recognize. And that's what we want. And that's usually that your body is not um, um, in alignment, right? You're not feeling what you need to inside. Your body's not saying like, I don't agree with this. This doesn't feel good for me. Um, does anyone have anything that they can share, like a time when they achieved something externally, but internally they weren't calibrated yet, and what it took to become that version of who you are now that could sustain it? It's okay if you know. Yeah. Sometimes we get on big stages or get a high paying client or we have this one and you're just like, nope, not yet. I'm not ready yet. Yeah. That's something to look at. Go ahead, Laura.
Yeah, I guess if I reflect, there's a lot of, the person that got me where I was not the person that was going to take me to the next place. And I remember when I had my custom interiors business,
Uh-huh.
I got into this place where I was earning money. There was a lot of background going on in my family, though, that was happening. And then suddenly this woman shows up and she gives me a $10,000 check as a retainer for my work.
Oh,
And
wow.
I remember how hard it was for me to comprehend that. To her, it was nothing. It was like what she did because she was in that kind of world.
Yep.
And yeah, so I can remember like being, oh my gosh. And I think I kind of sabotaged at the end. Like I know that I could have continued on, but my own internal wasn't ready for all of that. So
Yeah.
I served her. We finished up the job, but it probably could have gone further, except I wasn't ready for that kind of level of, yeah.
Did you eventually were you able to get up there or did that not happen over?
No, because other things in my life were collapsing. That's when my daughter got ill, and that's when, my marriage was falling apart. Like everything started happening. It was just, yeah, unraveling. But that's an example I can remember of being like, oh my gosh. So I was actually on my way, but didn't realize, my whole internal life was faltering. So
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that's what we call coherence, right? Coherence is when our identity, our body, our belief systems are all on the same level, right? That's what I said before. You can be in alignment, but not coherence. Your body's not believing it one bit. Awesome. Okay, I have 3 layers of identity that I want to talk about so we can introduce some framework. Surface level identity is what you do, your roles, your titles, like I'm a daughter, I'm a wife, I'm a mom. I'm not, I'm just giving them. I'm a CEO, I'm a healer, I'm a founder, I'm a consultant, I'm a professor, I'm an executive, all surface level identity, right? These are functional identities. They are not your core identities. And we often see, especially in the corporate world, that our roles become our self-image, right? So then when we lose those roles, we don't really know who we are. We see that a lot as people retire when they've been in roles their entire life, right? They just don't know who they are as a person, right? A lot of our soul professionals come in that way too, right? They're kind of in this transformation, but your functional role, right? Your surface level identity is just that, right? They are not your core. They are just functional roles that you are every day. And we are multiple roles every single day. It's just what we're anchoring into. The second one is our psychological identity, right? It's our self-image. Your subconscious beliefs about who you are allowed to be. Examples, what you would say to yourself, like, I'm not someone who makes that kind of money. I'm the responsible one. I always have to hold it together. I can never outgrow my peers. This is where self-sabotage lives and your limiting beliefs live, right? If you've ever heard of any of these that we probably all say to ourselves, I do it as well. I try to catch myself, right? And carrying that load, especially women, oldest daughters do it. They just carry so much on their shoulders because they're the ones that are always holding everything together. And sometimes we have to let that go and be like, let someone else hold it together. I've done my time, right? Or I don't make that kind of money, but why not? Right? I do make that kind of money. I can be in those types of circles, right? When we just switch it around or catch ourselves saying these things to ourselves, we can start to switch our psychological identity, right? That's our self-image. That's our subconscious beliefs. And we can change them just by catching ourselves when we speak about ourselves negatively, right? That's an easy one. It also has to resonate in our body. So a lot of times, if you know how to body test or muscle test, or you can just sit with it and just see when you say something, how your body feels. So I do this a lot with like income levels. It's easy for me to make 25,000 a month, and then go to 50,000 a month, 100,000 a month, 10, it could be a year or two, right? 200 a year, 300 a year. And you can see because your body will start to have a visceral reaction, right? And that's your earning ceiling, right? So you can test your own body, but you can do this with all of your beliefs. You can do it when you compare yourself to others. You can do it in money. You can do it in different areas of your life. You can test your body on friendships. So those are psychological identities. The third one is your soul identity, who you are beyond all of the conditioning, beyond the roles, beyond what society told you to be, your energetic blueprint in your world, in the world, right? Your deeper truth. This is the version of you that already knows who you are and what you should be doing in life, right? Your soul's identity. So the 3 were the surface identity, your roles, right? Your psychological identity, and then your soul's identity. And here's a big question you can ask yourself. You can write it in the chat. You can talk about it if you want. Which layer have you been operating from the most? Most of us hang in those first two, right? We talked about the functional identities, right? And then the psychological identities is usually what's holding us back. Most of us do hover in those first two, and we want to get to that third one, and that's why we're all here. Me as well, right? I wish I could just stay in my soul's identity at all times, right? But who are you beyond all of this? What do other people say about you, which I think is a beautiful soul's truth, right? It's your deeper truth. And the second question is, where is that tension between your psychological identity and your soul's identity? I think that's the biggest self-image thermostat that you can have. And you can put that, actually, let's do that in the chat. Tell me in the chat, on a scale of 1 to 10, what is your tension level between your psychological identity, those are your subconscious beliefs, and your actual soul identity? Anyone want to share in the chat?
When you say tension, measure what actually, like what, because I know I'm living between the two, and constantly working to be more in the
Yeah,
soul, but it's that so are you talking about the tension of it between those two
the
as far as
tension between those two, yes. Like if it was a rubber band and you were stretching it, right? Where are you? Even if it's a scale, right? We're putting the word tension on it, but it's a scale, right? Where, like, think about a stick. Where, and there's 1 and there's 10, right? Psychological identity is on 1 and soul identity is number 10. Where are you in there, right? We really want you to be above a 5 because it's work. I see 7s, I see 8s, surface mostly, but yet first and second, yeah. Anybody else want to throw anything in there? Yeah, so that's good, actually. Your 7s, your 8s, your 9s, awesome. Terrific. That means you're living your soul's truth. Beautiful. 7, yeah. You guys are doing great work, because I don't even know if I would give myself that much. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's like, where would I end up? Karthika, do you want to add something?
I
Hi,
wanted to,
Camille.
oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Was somebody else adding or was it me?
Yeah, hold on, Lynn. Let Karthika go first.
Thank you. Sorry, there's something with my thing. I'm not able to come on video.
The video.
So
Okay.
just wanted to ask, like, I was thinking that when you said the tension, I was thinking that it shouldn't be high. It should be a low. Am I understanding that incorrectly on to give you an example, like I would say the surface level identity is like, mom, a coach and stuff like that. And then
Yes.
the psychological level identity would be, you know, someone who is kind, who is generous, stuff like that. And then the soul level identity, like I feel like a learner almost, like an eternal like seeker, like just looking for something to learn. And so if there is a lot of tension between the two, isn't that like a bad thing to have a higher number?
Yes, I think I explained it wrong, but you are correct. Because I used the word tension and then I asked us to go number 1 to number 10. And the way I used the word tension and then said psychological identity would be number 1 and soul identity would be number 10. So I gave um, contradicting instructions there. So you are right. We don't want to feel the tension. We want to be
Right.
closer to our soul's identity.
Got it.
Yeah, so sorry about that. Yeah, and when I'm talking about the psychological tension, you talked about it in a beautiful way, and I love that. Um, and if all of your subconscious beliefs are, you know, how loving you are, how kind you are, how generous you are, that is absolutely perfect. That is close to your soul identity. That is beautiful. The examples I gave were more self-limiting, right? So it's about people coming out of those self-limiting beliefs towards their soul identity, which is positive, which is reaffirming, you know, which is the beauty and energy that is within us.
Oh, got it, got it. So,
Yeah.
so the psychological identity is like your own self-talk, if you will, and then what other people tell about you is your soul's identity.
Yeah, I mean, it could be probably yes, because I'm thinking people see your energy, right? They react
Yeah.
to you, right? Psychological identity. If you have a positive psychological identity and that is your subconscious belief, that's also your psychological identity. So that
Right.
is beautiful, because I will tell you, there are people in the world that have a psychological identity about their greatness
Mhm.
and they are not so great, right? Along with a lot of other things, right? There are, you know, there are people that are in crime, but they think they're doing good in the world, right? Their
Mhm.
psychological identity is that they are kind and doing good things in the world, but maybe they're stealing from people or they're in a crime ring or, right? So psychological identities are subconscious beliefs about who we believe we are.
Mhm.
Could be good or bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our
That's where
soul's
the
identity is more like our energetic blueprint in the world. Like when you walk in a room and, you know, you light it up, right?
Mm.
Or you're a giver or a healer, and that's who you naturally are, right? Not your business, but how you
Mhm.
show up in the world to yourself and to others and the people around you without monetary value. Is that, is
Got
that
it.
better?
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. Thank you. Lynn, you had something to add?
I'm going to forget it, but wanted to add that I think right now, I don't know whether it's the world or it's age or wherever, but finding that more embodied sense of self versus the
Yeah.
scurrier or the survivor or the pusher. Um, so to me, that's getting closer to that soul alignment where you're actually who you are and feeling comfortable in that and really resonating that energy versus all the other things that, like we all know, you can tell
Yeah.
needy people, you can tell, panic people, worried people, pushing people. And for me, when you asked, what am I becoming? It's like more settled and that I'm here, I exist, I'm good at what I do, I have gifts to offer, and really sitting that inside me and then coming from that positioning versus the up here or the ideas or even the psychological. Now I come up against all the psychological all the time, but when I feel more seated and embodied, it's easier to face and address or catch or be aware of those things. And I don't think earlier in my life I quite had that inner settle.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm in agreement that some of this wisdom comes with age. Absolutely in agreement with that. I do believe that every decade we change our identity a bit, right? Our position in life in so many ways just changes. Usually our friends change. If we have kids, they grow. Our professional lives usually change, right? Everything about every decade is changing, and we're changing. And as we grow older, I think we settle more into who we are and who we want to really be. It's almost like leaving your legacy in the world, right? Or thinking about, well, I only have 25, 30 years left, or I'm past my midway, now what? Right? I have the knowledge and the wisdom. Where am I going from here?
And I think we're getting out of a survival mentality as a humanity.
I agree.
You know, the last generations had different goals and ideas, and we actually get this lovely time to really maybe work on ourselves and be more of that than to live in that. I mean, you know, just my grandparents were immigrant, you know, so from along the way, I think even as
Absolutely.
humans in general, we're just in a more safe positioning, even though the world doesn't look like it is. But I think people inside, or at least I'm feeling that inside, getting that more safety. So when you operate from there, you just have a greater sense of clarity. And to me, I feel more powerful instead of the push, the rush, the
Yeah.
prove,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah.
Agreed. And I feel that now people really aren't retiring, where they used to work for a single company their entire lives, or do something, and then they'd reach the age, usually like mid-50s. It wasn't even late. And that was it. They were done. Like at that point, they just got old, right? And lived as long as they lived. Now I feel like many of us are coming from corporate careers or structured lives, or did our things, or raised our children. We did a thing. And now we're like, okay, now this time is for me. So we're reinventing, right? We're saying, like, now how do I serve? Who am I becoming for the rest of my life? And what does that look like? And it's dovetailed into our lifestyle, right? Our lifestyle and how we live is a big part of it. We want these things for ourselves, which is kind of beautiful. All right, this brings me nicely into the next session, which is self-image, but as the thermostat of our lives, right? So self-image is really the thermostat of pushing the temperature up temporarily, but most people will always return to a set point. That's just who we are, because our brains are wired for comfort. They're wired for safety. So many times we try to escape situations and we come right back into what's comfortable for us. That's just human nature, right? Self-image answers questions like, what am I capable of? What do I deserve? Which I think is a great one. What feels normal for me? And what feels like too much for me? Right? People don't resist success. They resist becoming someone unfamiliar to themselves right now. Right? And that shows up in an executive who wants freedom, but identifies as the responsible provider. I can't leave my job because I still have to provide. Right? The entrepreneur who wants to scale, but identifies as a more scrappy or starving solo operator. Right. I have a great one for my kids that are artists. We're always told, you know, you can't make money being an artist. And one of my kids came to me the other day and said, you know, I was told all my life, don't go into the arts because I can never make money. But right now you literally can't make money doing anything. Right? I should have just went this way. And I'm like, yeah, I totally agree with that. Or the visionary who wants visibility, but identifies as a behind the scenes person, or I don't do video, or whatever that is, right? They're contradicting identities. So you always go back to what's really comfortable for you, right? So if your current self-image had a ceiling, what would you say it was? That's a question you can ask yourself. You can also put it in the chat if you'd like. Oh, here's my next section is identity expansion requires grief because it requires letting go of your old self. Sometimes your old friends, your old habits, and that's really about any part of your life. When you start to expand, you have to leave things and mostly people behind because you want to surround yourself with people you are becoming. You always want to be the smallest one in a room. And this works with friend groups too, right? As I started to be an entrepreneur, I wanted to be around other entrepreneurs. As I started to deepening my soulful side, my awakening, I wanted to be with other curious seekers or explorers or people that were well into their awakening. So I could learn, I could ask questions, right? So I had to leave the people that were drinking at the bar every night, right? So I had to change friend groups as I changed, right? And we all need to do that. We outgrow roles, right? So you have to let go of who you've been before, right? Releasing validation patterns, right? Things that validate you in the wrong way. And a big one for this is social media likes and comments, right? It really doesn't mean anything. Right? Unless you're converting that into cash or something for your business or it's part of your funnel, all the likes in the world aren't going to matter. And I think in the months and maybe year to come, we're going to see more and more people leaving social media because it's gotten so loud and everyone's using AI and there's no truth in it or authenticity anymore. And I really feel like we're going to go back to in-person stuff. We are literally going to go back to the way it used to be. If anyone was part of the Soul Professional, and some of you were, I see some of my original people here, way back when we started, we're going back to that actual model because one, people have been asking for it, but I feel like we're being called back to this other time where we met for coffee and had deeper conversations and learned about each other. I think since the pandemic, we've missed all of that. And it's just become this big mess. And we need to reset. That is what we're doing. As a society, we are resetting right now. There's a lot of things that's going to blow up for us, thankfully. But I think our own nervous systems need a reset right now. A lot of us are tired of the video, tired of all the things. And I don't think the video and stuff is going away. I think we're all still going to meet this way, but it's going to change. And that's one of the reasons I closed down my membership at the end of 2024 and went to a free model. And one of the things, if you've read our newsletter that went out went out Tuesday morning, we're going to an open access community supported model. So there's no paywalls anymore. Everyone gets educated. We help everyone. If you need mentors, we're going to add all of this programming and in-person networking. And there's not going to be a paywall anymore because we want to help more people. But we also feel that if people are getting something from it, they can give back to us in any way that feels comfortable. Because we're in 32 countries, right? But we know people in the United States can afford things in a way different way than people, actually our friends in Canada, right? Our dollar is very different right now. And a lot of them had to leave our membership. But we have people in Indonesia and we have people in South Africa and we have people, all over that can't possibly match what the American dollar is, right? And my mission was really to help everybody, not just people that could afford me. So I had to come up with a model, and my background is not-for-profit management. So I was like, you know what? I believe that community supported everything are going to be our new way. And I got it from when my kids played Minecraft in their teenage years, because they supported creators for building worlds. And I didn't understand it at the time, but my kids were global citizens, right? And they're like, well, why wouldn't you help someone do this if it helped everybody, right? And I was like, it didn't make sense to me at the time, but boy, does it make sense to me now, right? I think we're going to go to that type of economy. So I've chosen to lead that way, to see who are my leaders who are going to stand up, who's going to help us with time and talent, and those who can money, right? But $2 a month, if people can afford it, I would rather get that from somebody who's getting things out of this than not helping people in other countries that can't access it at all, right? So it's just an identity thing. That's why I'm bringing it up, right? Those are the roles and the ways we're outgrowing things, and I think are changing. But I think we as people are also changing, and the way we see things. And I do believe in a global world, and I think we're headed towards that. We're blurring borders, and it's going to start with the micro entrepreneurs like us. I'll get off my soapbox right now and just go back to this. Laura, you want to add something?
Yeah, we'll do it when you talk about in person. Like I've been feeling that way this whole, I don't know how
Yeah.
many months. I've been just feeling like I've been going out to see people or asked to have events together with people in person. Yes, some virtual, but I'm kind of resistant to that. I
Yeah,
prefer the in
many people
person.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I, yeah, we're looking for ambassadors in New Jersey if you want to help talk to me about that. Because that's our biggest hub right now, and I'm not doing it. I'll go to things, but that's not where I'm going to be right now. All right. What time is it? I just want to do a time check and see how much more I have.
Yeah, we can talk later.
Boy, I still have a lot to talk about. I write these notes. That's what I'm looking at, so I don't forget things. And I'm always like, oh, this will take about 10 minutes. This will take about 15 minutes. I'm just going to go to the end. Oh, here we talked about this anyway. Midlife reinvention. Wisdom is accumulated capital. Experience creates discernment. You're less interested in proving anything once you get older, and you're more interested in coherence, how it feels for you. That next version of you isn't recklessness, it's refined. And Lynn brought that up, but that is absolutely what we were seeing. And I think this new world is also going to embrace the older wisdom. And I think we're going to start to have like elder circles come back. It's one of the things we want to see in the soul professional world, is having these deeper conversations. All right, I'm going to go to the end. Closing. All right, in closing, identity is not created, it is revealed. And I love that, right? The next version of you, it's not fabricated. It's literally you uncovering who you've always been. Does that make sense? You are not starting over. You are integrating who you are with what you do in life. You're not becoming someone else, but you are becoming more of who you are. Does that make sense? And all of you here are founders, or you wouldn't be here, right? You're creating things in the world with your gifts. And this is a part of it. It's understanding who you are in the world and who you want to be and how you want to show up. And I want to add that it doesn't have to be in an extroverted way. I always tell people, I'm an introvert. I look at thought leaders and people all over the, social media that are just killing it, or at least it looks like that on the outside. I don't know if they actually are. Sometimes I can tell when they're struggling from their posts, even though their posts aren't saying that. But I look at them and be like, that's not me. I'm never going to be that person, right? I know what feels good for me. I can talk to a crowd. I love leading, but I actually like smaller conversations better. And that's why we have like our soul circles and our healing circles. And I have other ambassadors around the world that are now creating the in-person, because I believe those smaller containers is how we all grow. I will tell you, there are so many people from our original NLBP when we launched in 2016 and that part that are still friends or business partners or collaborations. And it's amazing to me to watch them on social media talking and doing things together. And I'm like, that is so cool because they met in our community, or that is so neat. Look at that. Because it was before the pandemic, we were really, really, really close. We did everything together. We are starting to create that again because there's been this huge influx of new people from all over the world that we love, and we're trying to find out how do we do this in a way that feels really integrated. And one of the things I love about the Soul Professional movement is it's all of us finding who we are becoming. I think we're all in this kind of confluence right now, this intersection, this like space of what is next. Reinvention, I think, is a terrific word. We're all reinventing who we are becoming. But a lot of this next year is remembering who we already are, and then how do we bring it forward in the world. All right. I just want to open, we only have 5 minutes left, but I want to open the floor. Does anyone have any questions about any of this? Identity, something in their own business? Was this helpful? Go ahead, Karen. I see your hand.
Yeah, I think this has been fantastic and very clarifying for me. And I'm absolutely with my soul identity, totally. I have grown into it and I am living it. And it's so freeing, no question about it. It's a challenge, though, for getting into that psychological identity of income growth and allowing that income to come through. So I've seen some income come in marvelous, exciting, fun, easy ways, none of which for my business.
Mhm.
And I noticed even this afternoon, it was like, yeah, this is great. I am doing everything that I really want to do. I'm enjoying it. I'm feeling the love, and I'm doing it from my heart. And now I'm exhausted. And now rather than going out and
Yes.
meeting people and inviting them to a virtual coffee, I just want to take a nap. And I know that that is my body actually saying, keeping me safe. That's all. It's keeping me safe.
Yeah.
And
So one of the things I would say is celebrate every single penny and dollar that comes into you, regardless of how it gets to you,
yeah,
right?
I write it down and say
Yeah.
yippee and thank yous. Yes, it's
Yeah.
great.
I save a penny, I say thank you. You know, we get a small donation, I say thank you. And I'm like, look, it's working. This is great. People are getting it. Like it's the little things that abundance and energy keep going. And I know how hard it is to live in our 3D world and pay our bills, right? And want to be in our 5D at all times, right? And just be. I write about it all the time, if you follow my writing, about these competing energies that I feel all the time, right? Or I get this big surge of I want to do so much and I'm exhausted by doing it, and it actually brings me no money, right? Part of like the entire movement that I've done for 10 years really doesn't create money for me. And I've had this I would say in the last 18 months, maybe, this whole thing about, well, if I just sold more of my individual stuff, I would cover all of this. And I had to come to a place of, I can't keep doing this, right? Because it's putting like this is my passion and my soul's work. So that's one of the reasons we're turning it over to a creator community kind of model, because if it doesn't work in the world, that means people don't need it, right? So why is it on my shoulders, right? And kind of stepping back from that and just being like, okay, I'll just help those who need to be helped, and we'll see how it all goes, right? And it's really surrendering. And that is probably the hardest thing to do, is just surrendering, right? I'm still showing up though. So I want to make it very clear that when you surrender, it's not that you're just going back into a hole and not doing anything, right? But you can do things from aligned action that feel good, but it doesn't have to be a certain way. Does that make sense? Right? I kind of step back and just go, okay, it could be community supported, but now let me go look for some sponsors for programs to make sure that these programs are always out there, right? Let me go look for ambassadors to handle some coffee clubs. Let me go look for some facilitators to do circles for us or represent our brand, right? So I'm still doing it. I'm just stepping out of the piece that exhausts me because I was doing it all.
Yeah, I
Right.
got
So it's kind of relooking, and I feel like sometimes when I surrender to what's possible, those things will come forward. What I need always comes forward.
it does, doesn't it? And it feels so great. And you say, wow, how did that happen? That is so cool.
Yes. Oh, you just froze on me. Oh, actually, everybody
Created. I'm really excited to be part of it.
I'm so glad.
Yeah, this is
All right. We are at the end of our session. I just want to remind all of you guys, everyone here, my connection is getting unstable too, that every single week here at the Soul Professional community, we have something. In the first week of the month, we have our soul circles, which I'm pulling oracle cards. We're just sharing our consciousness together. It is an open format for everybody. I'm not presenting, I'm just facilitating what's possible in the world. And it's just a way for us to get a little deeper into our spirituality and our soulness. So if you can come to that. On the second Friday, of every single month, we have our healing circle, which we had like 15 people in our first one, and it was really fabulous. We just started those, and talk about coherence, man. Those were amazing. On our third week, or the third Tuesday, we have our global gatherings. So that's open networking, where we use that around our anchor word. We ask questions. I do facilitate that right now. So come to our global gatherings. Those are amazing, and you will meet people from all over the world. And of course, in our fourth week, our fourth Thursday, we have these, Wisdom to Wealth series. These are also recorded and put on our YouTube channel, so they are free and accessible to everybody. So if I can help you in any way, please reach out to me. You can get me through the contact us on soulprofessional.com, or you can just reach out to me any way that you know how. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, so you can come out to me. And that's all I got.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for being a part of this. I so appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You are welcome. Thank you, everyone.